if love is the most powerful emotion in the world, right? If that's what it is, you have to harness that. When you slow down and when you're successful, when you start letting yourself sit around and thinking, is when you start making all your mistakes. I try to show my crappy days. I try to show the days where I'm not doing well. Fact, ironically, it's the most engaged post that I make.
Need motivation?
Watch the Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 to 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 to 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and you watch these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Ed Mylett, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Harness the power of love.
I've never said this on a show before, but a thought occurred to me when you were talking, because you remind me of other people who have said this. You deeply love your children, and I think everybody listening to this does. You know what? If you just erased everything today, you guys, every show you've listened to, the most successful people I know, and by the way, you're the first person that made me have the thought, just because I feel how much you love these 2 children of yours. They harness love more. They harness the emotion of love. They almost leverage love to go do something great, because if love is the most powerful emotion in the world, right, if that's what it is, you have to harness that and leverage it to go do something extraordinary, because that's the overriding thing in this man's mind and heart all the time. When he leaves here and he's driving to San Diego with Lisa, right? When we're in the middle of the interview for a moment, right? All you parents relate to this. When he was driving over here this morning, one of the first things he thought about this morning, before he went to bed last night, was Brody and Brianna. So, but some of you don't harness that. It's almost like you love them and then you set them aside when it's time for business, right? Don't do that. Harness that power of that love, right? It'll give you strength and confidence.
Rule number 2, accept suffering.
Here's what most people want to do in their life, and this is a mistake I'll warn you of from the very beginning. They want to get to be successful so they can stop doing the work. They want to get to a point where they're like, then I won't have to do what got me here. Then I won't have to grind. Then I won't have to be as hungry. And the truth of the matter is, the minute you do that, you're dying. I've made that mistake. So I don't have this illusion that the next level I get to, I can stop doing the things that got me there. It's really simple. You had a play, you had a recipe that produced the success you've got, okay? Whether that's some of your anxiety, your work ethic, whatever you did in your life. Okay, if you're trying to escape the work, if that's your goal, you're going to lose long term. I've just accepted that I'm going to be doing some form of really hard work all the time. And once I made that negotiation with myself done, life's a lot easier. I've accepted I'm going to have to suffer to some extent, not tons of pain, but there'll be some suffering in order to win.
Rule number 3, go with the flow.
Being that you guys play the game at this level, I'm curious, what's the biggest misconception that you guys found about what it takes to actually achieve the dream, or at least this level of it, versus what you thought it would actually take? And the reason I'm asking is because there might be an audience out there watching this that aspires to be where you guys are at, and they might be thinking inaccurately about what it takes. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, mine was that I needed to be prepared for every next level. Like somehow everything was preparation. I had to be completely ready for the next one, then I'd be completely ready for the next one, and then I'd be completely ready. And that's just not how it's worked. I got prepared a couple times and I was ready, but there's a whole bunch of times I was completely ill-prepared, and we just charged into the dark space, right? We just went to that next place unprepared. We would figure it out when we got there. I had this philosophy and this thing in my head that I'd always sort of be able to be ready for the next space, and we'd have the perfect plan every single time. And that was almost never the case. Right. We've just sort of moved into the next level, and we've achieved things and seen things and gone to places. I've sort of surrendered that, I gotta have a big old vision, and I'm really big on that. I've also sort of surrendered to the fact that I'm gonna enter some spaces, man, that are gonna show me some things eventually that I'm not even thinking about right now. And I'll see them from where I go. And so that was a huge misconception of mine, that everything needed to be prepared for. I needed to be ready for every single one of them. And absolutely not the case at all.
Rule number 4, show your bad days.
Tell me about this attitude, that everything that we're talking about, and in this age that we're in with social media, and the criticism that comes with being, and not even in the spotlight. I mean, you and I, we have people that follow us, but just like my kid, he's 18 years old, he's got a social media account, and I see him getting depressed, whether he wants to admit it or not.
Yes.
How do you combat that with everything that's going on with technology? How do you keep a good emotional stability?
It's the number one worry I have for my kids and myself. So I'm not concerned with criticism because of the space I'm in. I don't catch too much, but it is an addiction. It's an addiction to checking your phone. It's an addiction to looking at things. Bullying at school is way different than when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you get bullied at school, you could escape at home. Now you get bullied at school and you get home and you're being bullied on Instagram. It stays on social media. It's all the time. The biggest thing that people need to realize, and this is what I try to do on my social media, I try to show my crappy days. I try to show the days where I'm not doing well. Fact, ironically, it's the most engaged post that I make. Because you're catching everybody on their best day. Everybody's filtered. Everybody's showing you only the good thing. I was at a restaurant last night. There was this family screaming. The dad was pissed. This was last night at the sushi place. The dad was pissed. The wife and him didn't even make eye contact most of the meal. And the kids were a zoo. I got kids. There's a certain way my kids misbehave, but then there's a point where we're in public. It's like we're cleaning this up as a family, right? Yeah. They were a zoo. And I'm sure they're wonderful people. Yeah. And then he asks the waiter, the server, to take a picture. You'd have thought they were the Brady Bunch in this picture. It's like, ding, everyone's hugging, everyone's smiling. It was completely perfect in stage. He gives them the camera, back to freaking mayhem at the table, right? And so I've just really taught my kids, hey, listen, none of this stuff is real. None of it's real. Everybody's on their worst day. And if you really want to serve people, show them your bad days. Show them the things that aren't good. I love the book by my brother, Evan Carmichael, Built to Serve You Guys. This is the kind of thing you get in this book. Most people wake up and drive to a job they hate. Think about your 5 closest friends. Are they happy? Do they live their lives with purpose? Do you? We put on a fake front for what we want people to see and think about us. But the reality is most people aren't happy. We're lost. We settle. You can't be happy if you don't know your purpose. And then he goes on to explain how to do that. You guys should get this book, Built to Serve, by my dear friend Evan Carmichael.
Rule number 5, focus on actions over words.
In business, you can become a lot happier person if you begin to listen less to what people tell you they're going to do and focus much more intently on what they actually do. It's interesting, you have friends all your life and then you go through an event like this and you learn who your real friends are. Any of you that ever been through a trial in your life or a difficult time, in my case it was a health issue recently, it's during those times when people actually physically step up and show you that they're your friend, that you learn the most about them. It's not someone telling you I love you or hey buddy, care about you. It's when you need them, are they there? It's what they do. Friendship is an action. It's an active thing. It's not a state of being. And I learned a lot this last month or so about, some folks frankly surprised me that reached out and were there for me, and maybe people I didn't even know would be that don't always verbalize it, but physically they're friends. And then there's other people that, you've probably had this happen too, that you go through an event and you're surprised by those that don't, that weren't there, that didn't call, that didn't seem to care. And so you learn a lot by what people do. I've learned who my real friends are the last few weeks, and it's been a great experience. I have more friends than I thought I had, which is a good thing. But there were a few folks who I thought were my friends, and maybe they're not. And they certainly didn't act like friends. So, but how does it relate to business? Well, you get let down an awful lot by people by listening to them. I've been training people now for 20-something years, and I tell you, people talk a good game. People tell you, hey, this is my time. I'm going to get 5 of these this month, or I'm going to write 10 of those, regardless of the business you're in. If you're training or leading people in any way, or you run a sales organization, or if you're part of our organization, people talk constantly. And if you're not careful, you begin to actually listen to them. You begin to actually believe what people tell you they're going to do, or how they actually feel. All you've got to really do is watch what they do. What you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying. And you need to embody that yourself in business, because you start to act differently based on what people tell you. If someone tells you, hey, I'm feeling great, I'm going to do big things, maybe you don't do as much yourself, or maybe you don't go get that next recruit, or maybe you don't go write that extra sale or fight for that extra inch because of what other people have told you they're going to do. And furthermore, sometimes even leading people, don't listen so much to what they tell. People are going to tell you what you want to hear. People tell you, I feel great, things are good. Well, the truth is, what did they do last month? How much money did they make? How much business did they write? Because that's really going to indicate whether they're going to be with you long term, or not. I mean, if someone's not making money, if they're not recruiting people, if they're not writing a lot of business, they're on their way out the door, not on their way staying. No matter what they tell you, I'm in for life, I'm committed, you can depend on me. The bottom line is, what did they do last month? How much money did they really make? What did they really save? Are they actually behind on their bills? Are they current on things? And so pay more attention to what people do than what they say, and you will have a much better barometer of what's really going on in your business.
Rule number 6, work hard.
Hard work matters. Why does hard work matter? Well, hard work matters strategically because if you make more phone calls, you do the old adage, right? Show up earlier than everybody else, leave later. But there's something more deep about that. Yes, making more phone calls, seeing more people, being more active, being busier, putting in more hours into something always gives you a strategic chance to be more successful in others because you've increased your odds. You've talked to more people, you're more likely to get more prospects, you're more likely to get more clients or recruits or candidates for your business. So yes, strategically that increases your chances. But something powerful happens when you do things other people aren't willing to do. You begin to believe you deserve to have things other people won't have. And that's what gets you a seat at the table of success. Now once you're there, it's a dogfight. It's a dogfight of skills and talents and luck and faith and circumstance and blessing and all that stuff. But just to get to the table, to get into the room, you have to believe you deserve to be there. And so again, I want to say this to you. The hard work part plays into shifting your identity. That over time, not even that long a period of time, when you're doing the things others are unwilling to do, you begin quietly to begin to believe that, oh, I deserve to be rewarded in ways these other people aren't going to be rewarded because I'm doing the things others won't do. And so the fastest way to change your identity, to change our belief, is just to flat get to work, to flat get there earlier, to flat leave later, to just make more calls, see more people, be more relentless, just pour ourselves into the work, because actually the hard work can in reverse impact our identity. And that's what begins to happen. When you start to do those things they won't do, you begin quietly to change your belief, that you begin to believe, oh, I deserve to sit at the table with these other people who do the things other people aren't willing to do.
Rule number 7, be the best version of you.
I have this very weird belief system. I'm a person of faith. I believe that when I go to heaven, I want the Lord to go, well done, good and faithful servant, right? But I also have this other hallucination, and I believed it for many years. I think the Lord introduces me to the destiny version of me. I think he's going to go, welcome to heaven. I'm proud of you, good and faithful servant. By the way, meet Eddie, your identical twin. This is the man I made you to be, what you were capable of, the memories you could have, the contributions, the experiences, the moments. This is the person I made in my image that you could have been, could have seen the things, done the things, become that man. My ambition in my life is when I meet that dude, we're identical twins. Okay. Where I go, dude, I've been chasing you all my life. And he goes, you caught me, dude, great life. To me, that's heaven. Hell is you meet that person you were capable of, and you're complete strangers. Yeah. And so every decision you make in your life is getting you closer to being that man or woman or further away. To me, it'd be hell to meet who I could have been and I know nothing about them. That to me is not an existence I want to have.
Rule number 8, stay at full speed.
I want to tell you one thing that I think also those of you that are achieving, we talked about fast earlier and not slowing down. When you slow down and when you're successful, when you start letting yourself sit around and thinking, is when you start making all your mistakes. When you let off the accelerator in your business, it's not just letting off the accelerator in your business. You allow all kinds of other distractions and crap to enter your life, and you're doing stupid things here and another dumb thing there. You need to be at full speed, man, because when you're not at full speed and you slow down, there's all this stuff that starts to happen to achievers, because most of us can't sit around and rest, and we just get occupied in crap that doesn't serve us, investments, activities, endeavors, indulgences, whatever they are, that don't serve you when you let off the accelerator. So keep going fast.
Rule number 9, focus on worth.
One of the great distractions of chasing our dreams is this thing that goes off in our head as we're negotiating the price we're paying. Should I keep paying it? Is it getting too high? Is it too much? And you'll have people in your ear, it's too big a sacrifice. You're going through too much. And you begin to negotiate it in your mind. It distracts all your focus. You can't be executing and negotiating simultaneously. If you're in your head negotiating and negotiating and negotiating, you can't execute. So negotiate it now. Negotiate it with me now. What are you willing to pay? For me, when I'm after something big, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, I'll sacrifice everything else. But I will not sacrifice anything legal, anything unethical, or anything immoral. But beyond that, I'm going to get it. And I know that negotiation comes up front. I accept the suffering. I accept the sacrifice. I know the sacrifice is far smaller than the one I'll pay if I don't do it. And I eliminate distractions and I go freaking get what I want in my life, just like you can. And this needs to be your recipe as well. If you're one of these people who's still negotiating whether it's worth it, maybe you've got someone in your head making you question it, that is a poverty and scarcity mentality. Let me prove it to you. When I didn't have money, and I spent most of my life with none, just like you, what do we do when we go into a store? We don't go get what we want. We go get what we think we can afford. And so I spent the majority of my life flipping price tags over. I didn't buy that shirt I wanted. I bought the one that I could afford. I bought things based on price, not worth. And so I'm sure you do. I didn't buy the car I wanted. I bought the car I could afford. So when I was broke and I had scarcity, what do you do when you're in that position? You negotiate price. You flip price tags. What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? Not what do you want?
When I was poor, everywhere I went, flip the price tag. What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? I was constantly negotiating the price for everything in my life. You do that when you come from a place of scarcity, of being poor. Successful people and wealthy people have a subtle distinction. They don't look at price, they look at worth. Is this worth it? If you're constantly looking at the price tag, you'll eventually relent. You'll eventually give in. Stop negotiating the price. It's a freeing experience to totally commit. When you totally commit to a relationship, to a business, to your fitness, to your faith, it's a freeing, powerful, it's almost like removing kryptonite from your life when you totally commit. Can you do that? The people around you always say, it's costing too much. It's costing too much. And you're going, maybe it's costing too much. You gotta start going, no, it's worth it. It's not the price, it's the worth. It's a subtle distinction in your life.
That same scarcity mentality we do in going after our dreams. We want to acquire our dream. You can't be in price tag mode. What's it cost? What's it cost? What's it cost? You never get what you want. Decide in advance what it's gonna cost. And then decide, here's the subtle distinction. Successful people don't negotiate the cost of something. They negotiate whether it's worth it. That's subtle, it's very subtle. If you're a person who's always thinking about what it's costing you in the sacrifice towards your dream, you're always gonna be negotiating it. But if you can decide in advance that the cost is worth it, the negotiation stops and you go execute. What I'm telling you is if you really want something bad enough, it's worth it. It's worth it. So start to feed yourself the worth question over and over and over again, not the cost question. Cost is a distraction. Worth is a focus mechanism. This is so worth it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. Focuses you. Cost distracts you.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have massive reasons.
I found with the people, I just want you all to know, what are some of the little secrets that successful people have that they might not even be aware of? The people I've really connected with when I've done the show, they have massive reasons. Their reasons are emotional to them. They're not just like big, like I want a beach house and a big ocean. Yep. Usually the biggest reasons are other people. The thing that will just never leave your spirit or your heart is who you want to be to show up in your life for other people.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and how are you gonna take action on it this week? When you schedule in what day, what time, and what place you're going to take action, you have a 91% chance of actually following through versus just a 35% chance if you just got motivated but never created a specific plan. And when you share your plan publicly and have some accountability, you increase your chances even further of actually following through. So I want to know your single biggest takeaway and your plan of action this week in the comments so I can celebrate you.
What's one piece of advice you wish you would have gotten early on in your career?
Mine is just, I wish I'd have known, I wish I'd have believed in myself more younger. I wish I'd have known what I was capable of younger. To Grant's point, I would have gone bigger sooner. I was lucky that I picked a model that worked. Actually, it picked me. I was lucky. I picked a model that worked for me young, and I wish I would have known what I was capable of sooner, what this was capable of sooner. I think I've always been limited and still am to this day by my lack of understanding of what my capacity is. And the more I step into the next space, like, wow, that was easier than I thought. It could have been bigger than that. And so certainly for me, my biggest detriment is me getting in my own way with my lack of belief in myself. Even when you think we're both super self-confident guys now, it's still a limitation of our ability to go to the next place. Is just me understanding what life is capable of being for me. And so for sure, that's my deal. It has been all my life for me.
If you want to change your life for free in the next 30 days, check out my training right here below. Or if you want 10 more awesome rules from Ed Mylett, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy them. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.